toi. Pour moi, tu vois?
Bien. J'ai compris que c'était à moi de lancer les choses. Thank you so much for being here, and I'm very happy to see you again. And I see a lot of friends around this table, and good friends, and I want to thank you for your presence during this summit. And I want especially to thank all those who were with us from the very beginning. And I want to thank Lawrence for his commitment.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So some of you certainly attended the opening ceremony earlier this morning. And I tried to be clear about how much we need the private sector and indeed the SWF network and what we managed to create together in this one planet mechanism, I have to say. Because in order to succeed and to fix together poverty, climate change, biodiversity, it's absolutely impossible to do it just with public money and official development assistance. So we have to create a collective dynamic, and we need much more from the private sector, much more from the sovereign funds, the asset managers, and all the private money you can channel towards precisely these objectives. I just want to highlight a few points that are very important to us in this agenda, and on which you worked very actively and which have been core from the very beginning of our common approach. Number one, we need the Sovereign Wealth Fund to lead by example, not only by committing to net zero by 2050, but also by implementing robust standards in terms of disclosure and offset strategies. And I think it's absolutely key. And the size of your portfolio allows you to move the entire global market in a common direction of travel at a time when 75% of private markets are still not reporting. And for me, this is absolutely critical. Thank you, John Kerry. And let me thank John Kerry because he's a great fellow and a very active and efficient man. So, I mean, this reporting, this disclosure, these offset strategies are extremely important. And I want to warn all of us against greenwashing. From the very beginning, we were very lucid about that. We were attacked. I remember when we met one of the first meeting of One Planet, the SWF, a lot of people told us it's a sort of a greenwashing. They were quite skeptical. You started to move, but we are not moving sufficiently fast. Let's be clear. And the risk of greenwashing and being accused for good reasons of greenwashing is still here. And for me, this year and next year are absolutely critical. If we miss the target, if we are not sufficiently ambitious and efficient, if we don't move our standards and portfolio, trust of our people will be lost. Which means that all the governments we can engage with you in that direction will be under pressure of their people. You probably heard some of the leaders. And we say, okay, we tried, we made something cooperative, we under-deliver, let's change, we will regulate. And we will be much more tough. And the risk is in place, given the agenda. So I think we have to take the lead in this common, collective and cooperative approach and go much faster and further. Second, I know that many of you are already leaders in the field of clean energies all over the world. What we need is more actions, more of your financing, more of your commitment in poor development and emerging countries in order to finance their clean energies. This is a global race. China is putting a lot of money. The US is putting a lot of money. Now we are rushing and the Europeans are putting a lot of money and public money. But the result of these policies, and I think we have good policies, but they are not totally cooperative, let's be clear, is that we will attract all the public money to clean energies in our countries and continents.
What do we have to do?
Obviously, you have a lot of private money as well, but we can do much more in emerging and developing countries in clean energies. The new program you are conceiving to accelerate energy transition in West Africa, in that regard, is key. With the leadership of Mubadala, Qatar Investment Authority, Macquarie, and in the follow-up of our agreement with Senegal to implement a JETP in the country. I can take a few of these examples, but this is exactly what we need. This experience of West Africa, what we need with what we are doing with JETP. So I want us to develop much more projects in order to help these countries to develop clean energy, reconciling economic opportunities and climate action. I know that you've been working on a framework as well to invest in hydrogen. This is extremely positive, and we have to follow up. And third, and last, I think we need you to be at the forefront of our common fight to halt and reverse biodiversity loss. In the follow-up of the Kunming-Montreal Agreement to protect 30% of lands and seas, we have launched a new framework to protect the most vital reserves of carbon and biodiversity in the form of country platforms that will allow private investment to finance biodiversity in the form of very high-value carbon credits or biodiversity credits. And in fact, this is exactly on the side of biodiversity and protection of forests, what we did on energy with the JETP. And this PCP, this partnership for precisely biodiversity preservation, are absolutely critical. And this is the type of platforms we need. So here are my 3 calls for actions. But I want to warn all of us. There is no right of greenwashing, no right for procrastination, and no right for a sort of mispricing of our action. Let's be clear, today, carbon pricing is totally dysfunctioning. The signal is not relevant. We started with some market signal, but because of the dysfunctioning, this market signal is not efficient. And we are almost killing it. We have to create at the same time a right market price for biodiversity. We started to work very hard, and I want to thank you for your action and your leadership and your expertise. We started to create common standards on the private sector. But this is still very fragile because our collective credibility is still at stake. So I need you to consolidate these standards on carbon, biodiversity, and public and private standards. And I need more of your action for transition and concrete action in emerging and developing countries on climate change and clean energy, and more of your commitment and money for biodiversity with the same methodology. I don't want to be longer. I want to thank you for being here. I want once again to thank Lawrence for his commitment and his efforts for, coordinating this table. What you represent is absolutely super powerful. Let's use it all together in the smartest way at the service of our people, because I think it's critical for you, for us, and for the whole planet. Thank you.